So he was asked about the early season struggles. Quote, you obviously hear it. You got to prepare for media, and I got to do questions. But I also got to practice what I preach. And if I'm going to tell these guys not to listen when the word is out that we're not any good or that the word's out that we're really good, then I need to do the same thing. That's all I've tried to do. My job is to lead this football team along with the captains and the leaders we have and put my head down and go to work. Now, that sounds great.
I took issue with that immediately right off the bat.
All right, well, then, please, you go ahead and start.
I took issue at when they're telling us that we're not any good. No. What people were telling the Eagles early on this season is that they were really, really good and underachieving.
Yeah.
That this team is really, really good, and somehow they're getting in their own way. Nobody was saying that the Eagles are bad. We're bad. Or that they were not any good, which is what his quote is.
Right.
Nobody was saying that. They were saying this team is getting in its own way. Its head coach is getting in the way. That's what we were saying. Nobody was saying the Eagles were not any good.
But you understand, like, kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah, but it's a deceptive message. It's a complete deceptive message. And I'm not going to wordsmith this. He said when people are telling us, no, when people tell us that we're not any good, that's not true. That's not what was going on.
Yeah, nobody said that the Eagles were a bad football
Nobody
team.
said they were a bad football team. Nobody said they were not any good. In fact, they were saying they're a really, really good team, and somehow they're managing to get in their own way.
And a lot of it was about
the head coach.
The head coach. And so the head coach continued.
Like after the Atlanta game.
And he started talking about how the media overreacted to the 2-2 start.
Really?
He said it was an overreaction and it was all media driven. Now let's unpack this for a second. John, you, I believe, were in the building for Eagles-Browns. Is that correct?
I was in the building that day for the Nick Sirianni. Honestly, it looked like I texted you all. It was like I was watching a mental break.
Can you confirm? You're on trial right now.
I will confirm.
You did not put the hand on the Bible yet, but,
no, but I'll put my hand in the air.
We'll get there. Can you confirm that you were sitting in the press box during that game and when events transpired at the end?
That is correct.
Can you confirm that, I don't know, Jeff McClain was in the press box?
Yes, he was.
Andrew DeCecco.
Yes, Andrew DeCecco was there. I can confirm. He was sitting a row behind me.
I would say,
I could confirm.
Can you confirm that every media member was probably in the press box except for the guy that does sidelines on the radio broadcast?
Yes,
and
in a fur coat.
Yes, in a fur coat.
But he's a very nice man, and he was not wearing a fur coat that day.
The reason why I'm saying all these things, can you confirm that there were no media members sitting in the front row behind the Eagles bench?
That is correct. The media is not placed in the stands.
So when I hear Nick Sirianni say the media had overreacted and it was all media driven.
Really?
Who was Sirianni barking at?
Fans.
After the Eagles barely beat the Browns.
Nick Sirianni could have been barking that day to 3/4 of the stadium. The paying customers that are Jeffrey Lurie's customers. There was at least 40 to 45,000 of that crowd that were very throaty that day about voicing their displeasure constantly into the way that team was playing after the bye week.
So when he says this whole media thing,
and his
it's not just
decision
media.
making.
He's saying that to be safe because you can't call out the fans. You saw the backlash that he got.
No, but he did call out. See, this is the thing. He did call before he ever spoke about media. He did call out the fans.
I know, he went right
heckled
up to
them,
him.
went up in them. How you like that? He might have done a Kirk Cousins. And then, of course, he had his mental meltdown of a press conference afterwards. Let's bring the kids into the press conference and let's ramble on and let's go nuts.
So just when I think he and I might be on like on speaking terms, he's got to go out on this whole people were overreacting thing. So
his Spike the Football tour is what he's doing.
I don't like that, by the way. But anyways, here's the question today. It's 610-632-0975 to start the show. Do you believe that people, and don't say, Andrew and John, the media. No, people, because Eagles fans had similar thoughts that we had early on in the season. Did we overreact? Were we reacting a little too quickly to the Eagles' 2-2 start? the bye week, and then the ugly win against the Browns coming out of the bye against the worst quarterback at the time in the NFL, Deshaun Watson.
He is the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, but at that time, like statistically, he was the worst quarterback in the NFL, and they beat them 20-16. So were we overreacting to the first 5 games of the season, the first 6 weeks of the season, because of the bye week? My answer is no. Like, I don't believe that we were overreacting. And if you think that we were, why did it take players going into Nick Sirianni's office to ask for a change with the offensive philosophy? Now, I will say this, John. I've credited Nick Sirianni for listening.
No, we did.
Like,
we've credited him over and over.
I applaud him for doing that. But it still needed to happen. It still led to that, to the point where players had to go into his office and knock on the door and say, Nick, you got to run the football, man. Like, they didn't go to Kellen Moore's office. They didn't go to somebody else. They went to Nick because clearly they saw a problem and they wanted to address it, because these guys aren't here to just win football games. They're here to try to win a big picture game, which is the Super Bowl. And that's why I was angry after the Saints win, after the Browns win, because this season's about getting back to the NFC Championship game, not just winning a game here and there in September.
Nick the victim. This is his victimization tour. I'm the victim. Now I'm winning. Now I'm going to get chesty. Now I'm going to lash out. And this is what happened. And this is where every single time that he draws me in to go, look, and we've given him nothing but praise, I think, for a month.
Yes.
We've come in after every game and said, great job, Nick.
Because he's deserved it.
Because he's deserved it and he's earned it. But now what he's trying to do is he's trying to portray it as he's the victim here. That these people are too rough on me. Here's what I would say is this. We have a boss. He'll be in the building today. If for 4 shows in a row, we're not doing any of the things that he sort of coaches us on, prompts us to do and everything, he's just supposed to go, it'll all work out. No. He's supposed to come in and go, or talk to us afterwards and go, guys,
what did you do here? Why?
Did we talk about this?
Yeah.
And then you know what? If he talked to us about it today, and then tomorrow morning we came in and did the same exact crap, he talked to us again, and I promise you the tone of the conversation would not be the same. It would not be the same. The first one would be, give these guys the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Let them work it out. The second conversation would be, did you listen to me at all? And if it goes on for a month of underachieving football, then at that point, not only were his paying customers pissed off, I can tell you for flat out, his bosses were pissed off after that Cleveland game.
Yeah.
His bosses weren't happy with him. So I don't want to hear this victimization. He's now winning, and now it's like, man, see? I had it all along. Well, these people jumped my back, man. I had it all along. Yeah, now that's not the way it was. It's not the way it was. It's revisionist history, and it's Nick the victim.
Yeah,
and it's why every time I get sucked in on this guy, I get pissed off because I just give him the benefit of the doubt, and he's doing despite the football tour.
Yeah, and that's what I don't get. Like, I understand if a guy like Louis Riddick, yesterday we read his tweet where he was doing the whole, hey, where are all those Eagles fans now that were so critical of him? All right, he's a national media member that doesn't live this day to day, right? So he doesn't know what was going on the first 6 weeks of the season, or maybe he did know what was going on, but not to the extent that we knew what was going on.
He's also puckering up because he is actively right now trying to get a general manager's job in the NFL.
And so that's him. But
so he's saying, look at me, I defend coaches.
But Sirianni has no backing on doing that. Like, you were the one that was leading this team to a 2-2 start and a rough game coming out of the bye week.
And your own players were not pleased with your performance.
Yeah, they had to go in your
own players had to tell you to act up, stop acting up.
And again, I give him credit because we got a tweet from Walter McCray early on in the show. Are you guys going to do this Negadelphia thing on our 10-2 coach today? No, we have celebrated.
He did this.
He did this to himself.
This is ridiculous. Walter, this is not us. We've been doing nothing but praising him for a month. For a month. He's been getting nothing but praise. Stop it with that BS. That's a bunch of garbage. He's the one who brought this up. He's the one who created this narrative.